I met her on a rainy Tuesday evening when the gym was almost empty. Not the loud kind of gym with blasting music and mirrors everywhere. This one was small, tucked between a coffee shop and a bookstore. The kind where people came to clear their heads more than build muscle. I started going there after work, mostly to avoid going straight home. Home was quiet. Too quiet. At 27, I had a decent job doing graphic design for a small marketing firm, a tiny apartment with clean white walls, and a routine that made sense on paper. But nights felt longer than they should. I'd scroll through my phone, watch random videos, and wonder when life was supposed to start feeling fuller. That evening, I was halfway through a slow set on the rowing machine when the door opened. She stepped in shaking rain from her jacket. She looked about 25, maybe a little younger at first glance. Dark hair tied loosely, a gray hoodie, black leggings, sneakers that looked new. Not flashy, just comfortable. She stood near the front desk, looking slightly unsure. The coach on duty waved me over. "Hey, could you show her how the membership thing works? I gotta take a call." Before I could protest, he disappeared into the office. She gave a small apologetic smile. I think I just got volunteered." Her voice was soft but steady. "It's fine," I said, wiping my hand with towel. "Happens here a lot." We walked to the counter together. "I'm Noah," I said. "Lena." We filled out the form side by side. I showed her how the locker worked, where the water fountain was, which machines people usually fought over after 6 p.m. Nothing special, just normal conversation. But something about it felt easy. At one point, she laughed when I accidentally dropped a pen and it rolled under treadmill. "Great first impression," I muttered. "You're doing great," she said with a teasing smile. That was the first moment I noticed it. Not attraction exactly. Curiosity. When she started stretching near the free weights, I went back to rowing. But I caught myself glancing over more than once. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. No headphones, no phone checking every 2 minutes. Just focus, calm. After about 40 minutes, she walked past me toward the exit. "Thanks for the tour guide service," she said. "Anytime." She hesitated. "You come here a lot?" "Most evenings." She nodded slowly. "Maybe I'll see you tomorrow then." Then she left. It shouldn't have mattered. People come and go all the time. But when I finished my workout that night and stepped outside into the cool air, I caught myself wondering if she would actually come back. And for the first time in a while, the quiet apartment waiting for me didn't feel quite as heavy. She did come back the next day, and the day after that. At first we just shared the space. A quick, "Hey," maybe a short conversation between sets. Then somehow we started syncing schedules. "Are you following me?" She joked one evening when we both reached for the same dumbbells. I was here first. Debatable. We started talking more. One night we grabbed coffee from the shop next door after the gym closed. That became a habit. 3 moments from those weeks still stay with me. The first was the night we walked along the river after a late workout. The city lights reflected in the water while we talked about random things. Bad movies, childhood pets, stupid school memories. At one point she said, "You're quieter than most people. Is that a bad thing?" "No," she said. "It's calm." The second moment happened when the power went out during a storm while we were inside the gym. The place went dark except for emergency lights. Everyone else left, but we sat on the floor near the windows watching lightning flash across the sky. She hugged her knees. "I used to be terrified of storms," she admitted. "Used to. Now, they just remind me things eventually pass." That stuck with me. The third moment was the confession. We were sitting in a coffee shop, both exhausted from long work days. She stared into her cup. "Can I tell you something weird?" "Sure." "I moved here to start over." "From Seattle." "That's a big move." She nodded. "Everything in my life there was planned. Career, apartment, friends. It all looked perfect." She paused, but I didn't feel like I belonged in it. I didn't ask more. Sometimes people just need someone to listen. Eventually we built routines. Gym at 6. Coffee after. Occasional late walks. Small jokes that only made sense to us. Somewhere along the way, that quiet curiosity turned into something warmer. One evening, she leaned her head briefly on my shoulder while we sat on a bench outside the gym. Neither of us mentioned it, but neither of us moved away either. Still, there were small hints. Tiny differences. When we talked about the future, Her eyes lit up when she mentioned travel, new cities, opportunities. Mine stayed closer to home. I noticed it, but I didn't think it mattered. Not yet. The first Real crack appeared during a simple conversation. We were walking back from dinner one night. "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" she asked casually. I shrugged. "Probably still here. Maybe running my own design studio." She looked thoughtful. "Still here." "Yeah." She kicked a small rock along the sidewalk. "I don't think I could stay in one place that long." It wasn't an argument, just a difference. But after that night, the thought stayed in my head. Right person, different direction. I started noticing quiet pauses in conversations about the future. Not uncomfortable, just thoughtful. Sometimes we both seemed to be calculating something we didn't say out loud. The shift came on a quiet Sunday afternoon. We were sitting on the couch in her apartment, sunlight coming through the window. She held her phone in both hands. "I got an email today," she said. Something in her voice made me sit up. "A job offer." "That's great." "It's in Chicago." Silence filled the room. "How long?" I asked. "Permanent position." I nodded slowly. She watched my face carefully. "You don't have to say anything right now." But our body language already said everything. Two people realizing the road ahead might split. Over the next weeks, things changed quietly. Texts got shorter. Calls got missed. Not intentionally, just life shifting. One evening we went to the same coffee shop, like always. We laughed at the same jokes. But something invisible sat between us. Like both of us were trying to pretend nothing was changing. That night, I typed a message after getting home. Maybe we could try long distance. I stared at it for a long time, then deleted it. It happened on a park bench near the river where we used to walk. Late evening, the city lights were coming on. She sat beside me with her hands in her jacket pockets. "I leave in 2 weeks," she said quietly. I nodded. We both watched the water. "I don't want us to turn into something resentful," she said. "Me neither." A long pause. "I love what we had," she continued. "Me too. But I think if we try to force this, it might change the good parts." I looked at her. Her eyes were calm, but wet. "So this is goodbye," I said. She nodded slowly. Another long pause. Finally, she whispered, "Some people come into your life to stay. Others come to show you what love feels like." A year passed. Life moved. Work improved. I moved into a bigger apartment. The gym was still there. Sometimes I still walked by the coffee shop. I never saw her again. But something about that relationship changed me. It showed me that a realistic love story doesn't always end with forever. Sometimes it ends with understanding. Sometimes love means recognizing relationship timing matters just as much as the connection itself. It was a romantic breakup story, yes. But it was also an emotional love story about growing apart without destroying what once mattered. A quiet, mature breakup. The kind where you leave not with anger, but gratitude. Because some people are the right person, wrong time. And sometimes the bravest thing love can do is letting go with love. And even now, when I think back on those evenings by the river, I realize something simple. Not every love story is meant to last forever, but the right ones still last inside you.